Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. Blender at Blender HD. If you want to follow me on Twitter. And it's Thursday, October 13th. And we'll take a look at the great, the wonderful showdown slate between the Bears and the Commanders. Are you excited for Thursday Night Football? The 38.5 total. Oh boy, they really put the good ones. Amazon gets the good ones, boys, right? They get them. Bears, Commanders. Can't wait. But it should be it's a showdown slate, right? There's always money to be made, right? Try to get first place as less duplicated as possible. That's what I'll be trying to do, and I'll be trying to answer questions in the YouTube chat like I always do. Good morning, Wataz, DFIC, Doug Montgomery, Suki Singh, Aaron Lilly, Matt Mears, Joe Van Normandia. Good morning, right? Be showing off some stuff, going through a little showdown lineups. Hit that thumbs up button. You know how much I love that. Give me the thumbs. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. It's Thursday. Got a ton of NFL content. There's MLB stuff, I guess, for the playoffs. NHL. We got stuff behind there for the premium people, right? We get soccer stuff, MMA. I'll be going over MMA tomorrow. It's not a good card. They saved it for all for next week. This card sucks. Okay, but I'm only going to be playing 6 lineups on Saturday for MMA because it's really bad. So I'm not doing that. But I'll be playing Showdown tonight. Good morning, real life pitcher, and building lineups for Showdown. As I always say, right? If you look at your lineup and you go, "Wow, that makes sense," right? Don't play it, right? If you look at your lineup and go, "I think I'm flushing $15 down the toilet," that's a good large field Showdown lineup. And I use like lineup HQ obviously to build my lineups. I have the blitz projections in here, and obviously we have to wait for inactives. I think Diami Brown's going to play, right? I think I saw that on Twitter, right? Unless someone correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. I think he's playing. But basically what I do for Showdown is that I build a whole ton. I build a metric crap ton of lineups in Lineup HQ. And then I use the tools in the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports for advanced players. We have Excel tools. If you go to theoryofdfs.com, you can pick it up. It's a 10-chapter audio course that I teach you. I teach you the advanced concepts, how to apply profitable DFS strategies in a systematic, repeatable, and time-efficient way. That's 6 hours long. You listen to the audio, and then you also get Microsoft Excel tools, such as alignment, the lineup simulator, portfolio trimmer, portfolio correlation matrix, duplication checker, contest review, where you get stuff that you could just run in Excel to help you process, make it more accurate, more efficient, less time. But that's what I do. I mean, essentially, I go in, I make some groups of lineups, correlations, things that I would want or not want in my lineups, and then make a ton of them. Premium members for RotoGrinders get the Showdown simulation page, where Jimino runs all the simulations of the slate and blah, 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 blah. How often does this guy appear in captain? How often does this happen in here? Versus the ownership. And then I try to play lineups that are more engaged with the sims than with the ownership. And we don't have that out yet. But the first things first is like figuring out, like in low scoring games, like assuming this is a low scoring game. I don't have to assume this is a low scoring game, right? As my light. Hold on, let me fix my light. It just went to 100. Why did it do that? Get out of here. I don't know. It's the deep state. They're out to get me. I don't know. All of a sudden, sometimes my light just goes to 100%. I put it on like 20%. But in low-scoring games, correlation will not matter as much, right? Because the effects of correlation are more exponential, right? In a high-scoring game, if this game is going to be 35-28, if there's like 4 passing touchdowns and one receiver gets 2 touchdowns, the receiver's probably in the captain and the optimal captain and the quarterback's probably optimal flex because they're correlated to each other. So the more touchdowns that they get scored, the more correlative, the ceilings are to players to one another. In lower scoring games, who the hell knows, right? Imagine in this game there's only one touchdown, right? And let's say it's Carson Wentz to Curtis Samuel. Like Curtis Samuel probably is going to be in the winning lineup. Carson Wentz may still not be in the winning lineup at 10.6K, throwing one touchdown. Maybe. Justin Fields may be in over him if he has some rushing yards or something. That the lower the scoring is, the more wacky kind of the lineups you could consider if you're playing for that situation, that it's going to be a low scoring game. Now, obviously, based on the spread, we have to think that it's going to be a lower scoring game. But we also know that our opponents, or our field of opponents, is likely going to be building for those situations as well. I mean, we're gonna have defenses that are going to be mega owned, right here in the blitz projections. Currently, 28% owned Commanders, 19% owned Bears, and I think those both will be higher. The kickers, Sly, Santos. I mean, I think the defense and kickers are going to be mega owned. And also, there's really not much underneath the kickers and the defenses that are all that appealing. We got some guys that are at least projected. Right? You got John Bates and Velus Jones and Dante Pettis, Ryan Griffin. I mean, guy like these are like I hope he catches a pass. I hope I see him on the field. So how are we going to build? So the first thing I do is look at correlation rules. Now, typically for me, especially because of duplication, I don't play kickers and defenses, right? So I'm gonna first. Okay, actually before this, I would normally go and see what captains that I'm gonna keep in my pool, right? So I could probably get rid of. I'm not gonna play kicker captains. I'm not gonna play cheap captains. I'm not gonna play defense captains. Over-owned, right? So get rid of some of these. Right? It's going to be a low-scoring game. Maybe Antonio Gibson doesn't project well enough. Maybe don't play him as a captain. I would make some type of decision like this, okay? I'm not saying this is exactly what I'd do, but let's say I'd narrow it down. And maybe just play the top guys. Although on this slate, you could play anyone if it's going to be a low-scoring game. But I cut down on the amount of counts. So let's just go. We'll just say it's this. Right, Wentz, Montgomery, Fields, McLaurin, Samuel, Mooney. Let's just say. Most likely, I'll have twice as many, but for the sake of time, because we're going to make groups based on these captains, okay? But other groups that I like making, I don't play defenses together. I don't play two defense lineups. I don't play two kicker lineups. Right, Joey Sly, Cairo Santos. So I just put max one. Right. I also tend to not play the kickers against the opposing defense. Because if you think about it, late in the game, second half, if the team is down by a touchdown, then they're most likely not trying to kick a field goal. So Cairo Santos is on Chicago. Washington is what? Joey Sly? Yeah. So I'll put to put the Washington defense, Commanders. Right. So I don't have Santos and the Commanders defense. I don't have Sly and the Bears defense. Okay. A lot of the kicker defense with double in them are too duplicated anyway. But if I'm gonna have a kicker and a defense together, at least they're both gonna be from the same team. Right? That's all I'm saying. Right. Another thing is pairing captains with, if I play Terry McLaurin a captain, having Carson Wentz in the lineup. Having Darnell Mooney or having the quarterback in the flex when the receiver is in the captain. Now, a lot of people do that also. And in a low-scoring game, that you may not even need it. But that would be a common correlation rule. In other optimizers, you could even add a boost where you don't have to hard code it. If McLaurin is in, right? If McLaurin is in captain, put Wentz here. And you go 1-1. Use exactly one player. Other optimizers, maybe there's a boost. You go, anytime that McLaurin is in the captain, boost Wentz's projection by 20%. That would be another way to do it. So you're not Like this way, you're going to get Wentz in every lineup that McLaurin is captain. But the other way, you're going to get him in a lot of lineups, but not necessarily all the lineups. So I can go through here. So it's like McLaurin, Samuel, Mooney. Samuel in the captain, Wentz in the flex, 1-1. I also have Mooney in the captain, and Fields in the flex, right? Like David Montgomery could be on his own. I don't care. He's a running back. But also what I'll do for running backs is that if I have a running back in the captain, now that everything froze, well, thank you. Well, this is not good. Okay, there we go. Okay, is that good? Okay. If I have a running back in the captain, I will not have the opposing kicker and defense. Right? David Montgomery, no, not Santos, Sly, and the Commanders. Most likely David Montgomery is running the ball, running rough shot. The Bears are up, right? Typically running out the game at the end. Less likely, obviously, to get defensive points on the other side, and most likely not going for a field goal at the end. So I do this. If David Montgomery is the captain, 0-0. Sly, Commanders defense. And then with the quarterbacks, right? Quarterback captains, I want to pair at least 2 receivers with them. I did Carson Wentz, but without McLaurin or Samuel or anyone like that. That seems very odd that Wentz would be the winning captain, the highest scoring player, and then what? He throws touchdowns to nobodies, I guess. I mean, he could. It's very tough. So like Carson Wentz, I'll pair with at least 2 of like the primary people. Right? So we're talking about McLaurin, Samuel. Who else? Who else have they got? Brown. Bates, I guess. Bates. I mean, he's going to be the starting tight end, right? And then they got the rando people. Right? I mean, you could say McKissick also, but I tend to just leave running backs the way they are. So I'll go here, create a new group, and say Wentz is the captain. I'm going to include McLaurin. I'm going to include Samuel. I'm going to include Brown. I'm going to include Bates. I'm going to say at least 2. Right? 2 to 4, right? So at least 2. So obviously you could build a 5-1 lineup with Wentz and all of these guys if you wanted to. And I'll do the same thing for Fields. So Fields is in the captain with the guys I'm going to put him in with. Right? You have Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, Equanimous St. Brown. Do you have anyone else? Do we include Dante Pettis? Like, is there anyone here that we need to include? So they don't run these guys much. Velus Jones, do we put him in? Maybe we put Pettis in. I guess let's say we put Pettis in. Yeah, there's no one else. So we'll put those 4 guys. Right? So we got Mooney, Kmet, Equanimous, and Pettis. So I'll go to player groups. I'll put those guys in. Mooney, Kmet, Equanimous St. Brown, and Dante Pettis. Do the same thing, 2 to 4. Right? Is there anything else we need to do correlation-wise? I mean, you could do stuff like not play, for instance. I mean, this could be a low-scoring game. I'm not saying you have to do this, but like maybe like the running backs, you could create a group something like this. Like if I had a Gibson captain, I would not put McKissick in that lineup, right? If you use one running back and captain, like I guess Montgomery, right? We have Montgomery captain, right? If Montgomery's in the captain, don't play Herbert in the lineup, right? There's another one like that you could use. It's possible you don't want to play Montgomery and Herbert together anyway. But also, if it's a low-scoring game, it's quite possible that they both get touchdowns, and you just have to get all the touchdowns. Like maybe you don't play Gibson and Brian Robinson together. I mean, you can. Like in this, the thing is that in this game, it's quite possible that maybe 4 touchdowns get scored and it's all the running backs. And maybe a lineup with Gibson, Robinson, Herbert, and Montgomery. That's the winner, right? So I don't know if I want to even exclude that. You can. Some people do. Some people say no more than one running back from a team. You could absolutely do that. But now, once you have all the correlations that you kind of want to the ones that you don't want in there, and then you can start building lineups. So you have to weed out the ones that are like, well, this doesn't make any sense. Matt Mears says to get around the all or nothing, right, the hard coding, when grouping wide receivers and quarterbacks, do you tend to create lineups with the rule toward on and then another run with the rule explicitly saying not to include the quarterback with the running back? Yeah, you can do that. You can make as many runs of your lineups as you want. I'm just going to be throwing it into my tool anyway. I'm just showing right now, I'm just showing an example. Right? Today, this morning, I'm just showing a pared down example. I'm not going through it. Like, these aren't the lineups that I'm building. I don't know. I don't do this until inactives come in anyway. So then I have all these captains, and I'm like, okay, I could try building like 300 lineups like this, or I could go individually through and I go, I want to build 300 of Wentz captain lineups, 300 of Montgomery captain lineups, 300 of Justin Fields captain lineups. You could do that as well. You could make 2 runs of 300. You could make Curtis Samuel, I'm not going to play as many captain lineups. Can only give me 40 of them. Like you could just make as many lineups as you want. I want to put them all together and just make 300. Right? I'll make it a little bit diversified. Even. You don't have to. This is purely for an example. Right? I don't care about the salary. I don't care about anything. Right? Everything else, what does it matter? He's running exposures. It doesn't really matter. Right? And maybe I'll set a cap on players. Like if I ran 300, how much of certain people I'm going to get? Maybe I don't want. Maybe just for diversity's sakes. Remember, I'm cutting down these 300 lineups anyway, so I could build 3,000 of these if I wanted to. So I want the max exposure for anyone. Captain max exposure. I mean, I could set that individually. Maybe no more than 50%, just for the sake of this morning. Like I said, of course, I always need to repeat myself 40 times because I'll get the same question, and I don't understand why people don't just watch the show. What I'm showing you right now is an example. Okay? If I were to go through the entire process of building Showdown lineups and explain it right now, the show would be 2 hours long. Because what we'd be doing? We'd be waiting for Lineup HQ to build lineups. Right? We'd be waiting for things to happen. It's like, oh, well, do you do this exact? Do you build 140 or do you build 120? Like, it doesn't matter. One of the top things that you could do to become a better DFS player is to remove the fact that there is a magic answer. Okay? If you want to build 17 trillion lineups today, that would be better than building 16 trillion. That would be technically better. Is it necessary? No, of course not. It's not necessary. But it would be. It technically would be better. Right? To consider as many lineups. There's not 17 trillion lineups. So understand that. I'm building 300 lineups in one build right now for the sake of an example on this show, for the sake of time. Not because it's better. Right? So I press this button. Oh, do you do unique players 1? No, it doesn't. None of this matters. If you're going to go captain by captain and player by player, probably unique player 1 so you don't miss any lineups. But if I did that on the show, all we'd be doing is just looking at this run. Right? What great content that is. Let's just watch it run as we convert 300 lineups one by one over to an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm just going to press the build button just to get lineups. Right? No more than 50%. Oh, okay. Let me set caps on the captain so we get different captains at least. Right? Right. So let's say I did 15, 16, 14, 12, 10. Does this even add up? Does this even add up to 100? I don't know. Does it? 34? No, definitely not. Right? Let's say we don't even 16. It doesn't even matter. I mean, I don't even know why I'm even bothered to come up with numbers. What's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? 6 divided like something. It's 20. There, max 20. Yeah, let's build some lineups. Mike B, you ever looked at a lineup in the dupe predictor that is higher owned but not duped and has a great projection? Would you play it? Sure, if it's not duped. What does it matter? Jeff Ballesteri, I started using the RG Sim tool for my flex exposures because everything is just going into the tool to see which lineups are going to be the most plus EV anyways. That's correct. That's exactly what I do. Jeff, I do exactly the same thing. The only difference between me and you, Jeff, is that I obviously changed my ownership numbers. Like as of right now, like the ownership on the defenses are too low in my opinion. I mean, they're high in here. But like if you just keep it at like 29.46, I may make that 34. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do later. So my numbers may be slightly different than yours. Right? So you get all these lineups, right? So here you go. David Montgomery, Fields, Mooney, Montgomery, Samuel, and you get all these lineups, right? Right? And you could go through them individually. You go, okay, do I want this one? Do I want that one? Do I want everyone? That's what I used to do, right? But it's like I'm probably only playing 40 lineups tonight in a large field. Probably. Right? So I'm just going to take all these lineups out. Right? I could build this 300 times. I could build 8 million different ways here. Robert G says, any lineup you make in this game makes you want to get sick. Yeah, I like those slates. So we see all these lineups, right? So now I'm going to go over to my tool, okay, which is part of the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports. For advanced players, go pick it up, theoryofdfs.com. So I'm going to go and stop the screen and share my other window. I have 3 monitors in front of me. So there you go. So the first thing first is we got to put in the projections. Oh, that's the wrong. Okay. So I'm going to export the projections from Lineup HQ. Right? You download them to your browser. You get them right here. Right? I'll even show you because they're on my other screen. Right? And just cut and paste the columns that you need. Right? Right? Cut and paste. Player ID. Put this as the duplication predictor. Right? Put in here. I want the ceiling and the floor. I don't think that's not technically necessary, but I'll put it in. It displays it. Right? Salary. Grab the salary column. And there you go. Right? Right? And now I'm going to also grab all of this and I want to put it in the portfolio trimmer, the other tool. Right? Because that needs projections in there as well. Right? Just cut and paste. Right? Done. It's in both tools. Go back to the duplication predictor. Right? I got it right here. On the other page, we have another tab down here that says insert lineups. Right? Format DK Showdown. Right, this already had information before from last week's or whatever. Sunday Showdown, whatever. What was the last time? Monday? Monday. So I'm going to export all the lineups from Lineup HQ. Right? Just press the export button. Right? Just downloads right into Chrome or whatever. Right? Open that up. Right? You see it right here. Right? You see all the lineups. Right? Yeah. Cut and paste. Right? This is not complicated. Right? Cut and paste. Copy. Right? Right? Copy right over here. You put it right. There you go. Right? So all the lineups. You have the projections in there. You got all the lineups you just made. right? You can make more lineups. I mean, there's more space. I mean, if you want to make 300 more lineups, you could keep on going. I've done this up to 3,000 lineups, right? So you can do it as much as you want. Make different combinations. Oh, this one's without this. This one's with this. 300 of just this captain. 300 of that just, or however many you want to make. And then I'm going to load this into the duplication predictor, right? By pressing the load lineups button, right? Not that complicated. It's going to just, now it'll give you all of these, right? It'll show you all the lineups, show you the salary, the projection, the ownership, the predicted dupes, which is, there's a range. Right? This isn't like exact, oh, if it says 0, it's going to be unique. No, it's not necessarily. Then it'll show you out of the 300 over here, projected dupes. They obviously have to change the field size. So obviously, if it's a smaller field, it's less likely to be duped. I don't know what's the field size of Showdown today. Last time it was about 176,000. So let's see. Let's take a look. I'll open the app. What do we got? That's what it probably, yeah, 176,470. Okay, so close enough. That's good, right? So it'll show under 20, under 10, under 5, unique, right? Then it'll even show you your exposures, which is a little off. Yeah, this isn't the updated version. Yeah, 119%. Yeah, the calculation is a little bit off. This is the, I didn't even download the new version of this that fixed that little bug. The bug is fixed. Because I don't really look at the exposures in this anyway, but other people do. So I could just look through my line. I could trim by anything, right? I could trim to any duplication threshold, right? If I wanted to trim, like I could sort these, obviously, if I wanted to, right? If I wanted to trim to under 5, which is 4, and then press the trim button, right? It'll go through and it'll get rid of all the lineups that are over that number, right? So now we're down to 250 lineups. We could also trim by a key player. So let's say you want Carson Wentz lineups that are more unique. You want them, the dupe threshold to be 0, but just for Carson Wentz lineups. You can do that also. Press the trim button. It's only going to trim the Carson Wentz lineups, right? You got rid of like 8 of them, right? So you could do that if you want. If you're looking to trim just by a specific player or something like that. If you're looking to get, I'm playing 75 lineups, so I need to, let me find a way to trim down to my 75. Right now, I'm just going to do dupe threshold 0, right? So these are the 300 lines. I'm not even looking. Look, I'm not even looking. Trim threshold, right? Give me all uniques, right? So it's up here. It should say all 208 lineups. Okay, so here's 208 lineups that are more likely to be less duplicated. Doesn't mean that they're going to be completely unique, right? Because it depends on the salary. It depends on a lot of things, right? Some of these lineups are really bad. Jake Tongas? Who the hell is Jake Tongas? I don't even know. Okay, so now I can take these lineups now that I've deduped, right? Deduped to some extent. I can now cut and paste, right? I can take all these lineups, right? I could take these all out. Hold on. Come on. There you go. So I can take them all. Here we go. Right? Take them all. Command C. Bring them over to the portfolio trimmer. Put them right here. DK Showdown. Put them right there. Load them into Portfolio Manager. Right? So here we go. So this Portfolio Manager looks very similar to Duplication Predictor. It shows you your exposures. Right? Right here. Carson Wentz, 58%. Fields, 55%. Montgomery, 46%. Who do I have as the captain the most? Samuel, 20% in the captain, right? So these are, how many lineups have we got? 208. And now I can set thresholds. I could trim these. Now I may want to get rid of some of these really low projected lineups, right? Like the top one is 78. For example, let's get rid of anything that's under 68. So I could do here. I could set the projection threshold. I could set the salary threshold, right? 40,000, Let's 68. So we're going to set the threshold at 68. What's the ownership threshold? Right? We don't care about the ownership right now. We'll set the ownership at 300. That's very high. Just it doesn't matter. Okay. So if I set the projection threshold at 68, you see down here, all these lineups that are under 68, it'll get rid of. Right? So I can just trim thresholds. Press the button, give it a second or two, and there you go. So you see, here you go. 68, right at the bottom. Now, if you make a mistake or anything like that, your lineups are still on the other, are still here, are still living here. So you could always reload them at any time. So I could just reload portfolio, right? And it'll give me those lineups back. So you see all those lineups at the bottom. So let's say I trimmed to 68, right? So I'm going to trim. Then I look at some of these salaries, right? I look at some of the salaries here, 49.3, 49.2, 49. Maybe start getting rid of some of the higher salary ones, right? You could do that if you choose. You can get rid of the exposures are here because maybe you want to get rid of some lineups because you just don't want to have that much of someone from a diversification, just from a risk tolerance perspective. Do you want to have 23% Dante Pettis? Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't want to have 23% Dante Pettis. So let's say you want to smart trim just by Dante Pettis, right? You go, okay. Smart trim, all smart trim is that it looks at a lineup, at the projection of a lineup, and the ownership number of a lineup. And as the projection goes down, the ownership should go down also. If the ownership goes up, it removes that lineup, right? So why are you playing a lineup that's projected at 76 for higher ownership than a lineup that's projected at 77, right? Like that's the broad concept behind there. So that's what the Smart Trim feature of this Excel tool will do. And you could do it just for a certain player, right? Because maybe you don't want to do that for the whole thing. Maybe you're looking for 75 lineups, and it's like I don't mind playing a little bit more, David Montgomery lineups or whatever. But let's say I look at do I really want to play that much Dante Pettis? So let me just trim those lineups. So we give you that key player functionality. I'm going to smart trim the Dante Pettis lineups. Right, so there you go, done. So now I only have how much? 5% Dante Pettis. Okay, that isn't bad. And I'm down to 127 lineups. Right, so you could go through all of this. You could go how much of this guy do I want? Do I want 22% John Bates? Do I want to smart trim some captains? Right, I take a look here and I go here, Smith, Marset, Cole Turner. Right, how much Cole Turner? Do I want 11% Cole Turner? Maybe I don't. So I'll smart trim those lineups to get rid of some of those. Right, so now we're down to 116 lineups. Let's say for argument's sake that you're playing 75 lineups. Let's just say for argument's sake. Right, so it's okay, well, I already put it through the dupe predictor, so I don't have to worry duplication, although the higher salary lineups are more likely to be duped. So maybe we start cutting down on those. 49.3, 49.2, 49.3, some of these on the bottom. So maybe we cut it at 49. Right? 49,000. Right? Projection. Maybe we get rid of some of these even lower lineups down here. Right? 68. Maybe 69. That sounds like a good number. Everyone loves that number, right? 69. Maybe we look at the ownership. 188, 195, 197, 188. Maybe we cut that. Maybe we stop that at 185. Ownership threshold, 185. We trimmed the thresholds. Right? Get rid of those lineups. Right? So now we're down to an 81. Okay? We're doing pretty good. Let's just say we're trying to get down to 40, right? I didn't know how many lineups would lose because of that. Let's say we're trying to get down to 40. Right? So now we're down to 81. So I look through it. It's how much do I want? Now it just comes down to maybe more of a diversification thing. More of your own personal risk tolerance. These lineups should all be good. These lineups should all be plus EV. So I look through, go, how much of these people do I want? You can see I don't Bears defense to 20.99. Where's the Commanders defense? I probably don't have many, right? 11%. I have a lot of Justin Fields captains, a lot of Carson Wentz. I love a lot of quarterback captain lineups, which may be a little bit underowned today, right? Maybe. Montgomery captain, Mooney captain, McLaurin captain. But let's say you wanted to go, I'm going to cut down on the Wentz captain lineups. Like let's say you're going to do that. Or the Fields. Maybe you want to trim those. So you could go here, you could go look, and you can look for the captains. Here's Justin Fields, captain, and smart trim. Right, you're down to 68 lineups. And obviously his exposure goes down. So he's back down to 10% of your lineups. And maybe you do that with Carson Wentz also. You could do that. Right, okay. You go, it's key player, Carson Wentz, right here, smart trim. Now we're down to 55 lineups. Okay. I mean, if we're getting down to like 40 lineups, it's like, okay, what else could we do? Right, take a look. John Bates, 27%. I have a lot of John Bates. Like Jairo Santos, kicker. A lot of David Montgomery. I think like whatever it is you want to do. Maybe you want to get rid of. I don't want to have Dan Milne at all. You could do these, whatever. I mean, at this point, all you're doing is just how much of someone do you want? I mean, like it's all your own personal decision making. I mean, you could even start cutting down on the bottom again. You could say, well, I'm going to cut down on some of these even lower projected lineups. Right? Maybe I cut it off at 70 to get rid of some from thresholds. Right now I'm down to 47 lineups. I have a lot of the Bears defense. Maybe I don't want to play as much of the defenses as I want to be under on the defenses or whatever. So I go to the Bears and I go, let me smart trim the Bears lineups. Right? There you go. We have 38 lineups now. I go here are my lineups. There you go. You cut and paste. You take these. You cut and paste these. Right? You highlight them. You put them in your DK entries file. You upload them, and you're good. You're done. You're done. Welcome to Showdown. That's Showdown. How easy was that? You could do. I could do all of this in about 12 minutes. Okay. Once I have the rules set up, once I have everything set up as far as the correlations, everything, like as far as building the lineups, like okay, let me go through build 3,000 lineups. A lot of times I'm not building that many. I'm building like 1,200 to 1,500 lineups. And putting them through all of this and doing all that, 10 minutes. Not that complicated. It's easy. It's quicker. I used to do this manually. Right? I used to try to do this manually and go through and eliminate lineups one by one. It would take me like 45 minutes to an hour to do. And even then, it wouldn't be as accurate as doing it this way. So now that's what the Excel tool does now. Now it makes it really, really easy, really quick. Condense your lineups. Or you could build tons of lineups or whatever. You build lineups that are only one unique player apart, 2 unique players apart, anything you want. Maybe you only want to play one captain in all your lineups. Well, fine, do that. You can do that. But here in this Excel tool, you get to see all of the stuff that you're working with. Eliminating things very quickly and conceptually accurate when it comes to the smart trim. Get rid of lineups that are lower projected and higher owned. If you had a choice between them, like if I could play 300 lineups, most of these lineups would be in there, the non-duplicated ones, right? Do I care that this one has Armani Rogers in it? Who the hell is Armani Rogers? And Velus Jones Jr.? Should I care? Should it matter? Are they projected? They're in here, right? If you didn't want to play Armani Rogers in any lineup, you should have X'd him out. I don't even know who he is. I don't even know who's Armani Rogers. Does he have a projection at all? Armani tight end for Washington. Okay, 0.42. 1% owned. Maybe he'll catch one pass. Maybe he's a blocking tight end, I guess, because Cole Turner has a better projection. How does Cole Turner have a better projection to be lower owned? Well, that's the problem. Well, there you go. Obviously, you wait until it actives. These aren't the most accurate projections right now. Okay, so let me stop the screen and go over to the other screen. If you want to get this, if you want to get these tools, right, like the portfolio trimmer, the duplication checker, the portfolio correlation matrix, I've showed that before, lineup simulators, right? You get to run a little Monte Carlo sim with up to 10 lineups, right, in Microsoft Excel. You get that theory of daily fantasy sports for advanced players. Having a solid understanding of game theory concepts in daily fantasy sports can separate you from the recreational players. But how do you develop a systematic, repeatable, time-efficient process to analyze slates effectively and consistently build lineups that show a long-term profit? In this 10-chapter audio course, you will learn these expert-level methodologies and simply leveraging publicly available information and tools like the stuff that we have at RotoGrinders, all without requiring any formal expertise in mathematics or any experience in computer programming whatsoever. Theory Daily Fantasy Sports, how to apply DFS strategies for advanced players. Includes all these custom tools, like two of them I showed. You see all the table of contents here, the course files, frequently asked questions, right, about us or our faces. Right, there you go. There's our faces. So go to theoryofdfs.com, pick it up. You use that, and you get a RotoGrinders premium membership. Welcome to my world. This is what I do. You're not seeing that. Just like I said yesterday with the price pick stuff. I'm looking at one number and then comparing it to another number manually. Like, dude, I essentially showed you how I build my Showdown lineups from a process standpoint. Did I have to use Sims? No. Would Sims be more accurate? Like if I could program, I'll run 1 million times this and run the contest. Well, yeah, that would be more accurate. That would be better if you want to say it's better. But dude, this is heuristically, this is directionally accurate more than 99% of the people that are playing Showdown. I'm profitable doing it this way. Of course, the whole goal of Showdown is to win once every 50 slates or something. Right? You're not profiting like, oh yeah, I made $100 here. It's like, no, either you're winning a lot of money or you're down 40% on the slate. That's the two typical outcomes bimodally. But I've binked Showdown often enough that I'm profitable. Well profitable. Jake Ballesteri, from a diversification standpoint, I think I'm going to start smart trimming lineups with players like Jake Tung or whatever, Noah Gray. I think I played 45% Noah Gray last night. I played a lot of Noah Gray last night also, but he was fine. He was fine. But yeah, if you're getting Velus Jones in 30% of your lineups, you could do the lineups are still fine. But do you want a third of your asset allocation to go to someone that you barely may see on the field, right? You'll be looking for him. You're like, is that what's his number? Yeah, he's there, and then I hope that he still gets a catch. And then if he does get a catch, hope that he gets a touchdown. You need so many things to go right. So I don't know how much of those types of guys you want to have. Some of them, right? But maybe he's like, oh yeah, well, their projection is 2.5, and they're 1% owned, and that's the only reason they're coming up in all your lineups. That for a 2.5 median projection at 1% owned, they should be 5% owned, but they're not. They're 1% owned. And that 4% difference makes them in all your lineups, right? Or something like that. And you're like, okay, I get it. Yes, I get it. But maybe I don't want 150 lineups all with Velus Jones in it or something, or whatever the guy's name is. That's up to you. Then find other plus EV lineups, right? That's really what it comes. Or be the type of person I'm just going to lock them into all my lineups. Okay, that's fine also. Okay, so showed off some stuff today. Theory Daily Fantasy Sports, theoryofdfs.com. Got NFL content today. I got the Premium Game Theory show tomorrow for premium members. So get the combo premium. I think they're running a $20. I think there's a sale or something. You get $20 to $40 your first month or something. It's a lot more of your first month, whatever. Click on the link in the description. It'll take you to wherever it'll show you that. I got an email. We sent out an email or something. The combo premium, like first month, like slashed in half or something. So take advantage of it now, especially with NBA coming back next week. PGA still going on, right? We got MMA tomorrow. Soccer over the weekend. We got tons of stuff. So it's like the combo premium gets you everything. So you don't have to worry about it. Oh, do I have this? Do I have that? Do I want to play this? Oh, I'll play the MMA slate. I've never played MMA before. Well, combo premium, you get everything. Especially if you're going to play NFL and basketball. Why are you doing separate stuff? Like there you go. Easy. No questions asked. No problem. And when you do that, you could join our RotoGrinders Discord. Right? I have my own channel in there. Blender's Game Theory. So if you have any questions, anything you want to talk about, anything, that channel's open. That's where to go to talk to me, right? People DM me stuff. It's like, go there. I have no problem having more extended chats in there than in my personal direct messages on Twitter. So hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door. Give me the thumbs. We got Showdown NFL pre-lock show later today. Not with me, but at 7:30 to go over this wonderful Commanders-Bears game. I think it's going to be better than we think. And I'm going to say that. And it's going to probably be worse than we think. Can't be worse than that Broncos game the other day, right? It really can't be worse than that. But maybe it can. Maybe it can. We'll see. And then we'll come back tomorrow. I won't talk about we won't review this slate tomorrow, but we'll talk about MMA. We got a 12 fight card. Yeah, because they added the burrito fight. So it's not a very good MMA card, but we'll still talk about it tomorrow, right? The MMA Grounded Pound podcast should be out by then. So if you're a premium member, right, you'll get all the fight breakdowns and everything. I'm on with Mike and Liam. So get that. Great. So many reasons to get the combo premium package here at RotoGrinders. So click on that link in the description and sign up. Get that special price before it goes away. And I'll see you tomorrow. Answering your DFS strategy questions like I always do. Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock Eastern on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.